Now, after this, let's see the Greek invasion. So, the Greek invasion was done by the Alexander the Great. Okay, it was fought against the King Porus. It was fought against the King Porus. If you might have seen in the movies, okay, the Alexander the Great came with a huge army, okay, on the banks of the Jhelum River, okay, and on the banks of the Jhelum River was one place known as the Hyde Passes. Okay, so this Hyde Pass was one place which was on the side of Indian subcontinent, and the Alexander was standing on the opposite direction. Like, let me show you in the map. For example, this is the Jhelum River. Okay, this is the Jhelum River. This is India. Okay, and if the Alexander came from here, he was standing here, okay, and the King Porus army was standing at this area is known as Hyde Pass. Okay, so this is also termed as the Battle of Hyde Pass. Okay, let me show you in the map. So again, see, this is Jhelum River. Okay, now this Jhelum River was also known as the this Jhelum River was also known as Hydaspes, okay, during that time by the invaders. Okay, we call it as a Jhelum, but they call it as the Hydaspes. Okay, so that is why they call this battle as a Battle of Hydaspes. Okay, now the Alexander military was standing at this end. Okay, and they saw that this Jhelum River is quite larger. Okay, this is quite huge river, and we can't cross this river very easily. So they went here and here, and they went to the north. Okay, after that, his military started to say that we can't conquer this, let's move back again. Okay, but somehow Alexander didn't accepted that, and he went again from this region. Okay, and they had the battle over here, and that is why it is known as the Battle of Hydaspes. Okay, and here the Porus camp, okay, the King Porusca camp came from here to up till here, and this battle was being fought on the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so Indians had the chariots and everything, horses, chariots. So yes, during this period we can say that we find the evidences of the horses. Okay, we find the evidences of the horses, we find the evidences of the weapons, but yes, we also had adopted some of the new technologies, new science and technologies to develop these weapons in their way, in their style. Okay, so after this, after the battle was being fought at the Jhelum and Chenab. Okay, so we have one of the Naisa as the replica which tells about this battle. Okay, now again, during this period, during the same period, we also find the evidence of the Takshila. Now, Takshila was an educational university during that time, where many of the foreigners were given the education. In fact, Indians were also imparted with the education. Okay, so it was under the monarch of Abhisara. Okay, it was at the monarch of the Abhisara. Now, Takshila was also present in the present day Pakistan, somewhere here. Okay, somewhere here. This is JNK, and Takshila is somewhere here. Okay, so during this time, the Takshila was considered as the educational hub. The second educational hub was the Nalanda, but that was during the Buddhist period, and that was in the eastern India. But in western India, we have Takshila. Okay, now this is the same period when we would be having Takshila during this period. Okay, and who was the head of this Takshila? It was the monarch of Abhisara, under whose? Under King Porus. Okay, so what were the effects of the Greek invasion? First of all, after the now up till the Persian invasion, we have seen that there were tiny, tiny kingdoms, tiny, tiny regions. Okay, due to which the invaders used to invade very easily. Okay, now the Indians got that idea, or the Indian kings got the idea that this is not the solution to fight directly with them. First, we need to be united. Okay, we need to stand very strongly in a very structured way in front of that to stop the invasion. Okay, so the unification was done during the Greek invasion only, and not during the Persian invasion. So during the Greek invasion, we'll see that there is a unification of the northwest India. Okay, and when the small states would be unifying, okay, it would be forming into the larger state, and hence the tiny states would be destroyed. Okay, the tiny administration would be cancelled out, it would be thrown out, and the major centralized administration would be carried out. Okay, now see, first there were tiny provinces. Okay, tiny provinces. Now, as they were feeling insecure due to the Persian invasion, due to the Greece invasion, they would be converted into the bigger kingdoms, so that they could have strong economy, right? They could have strong military, they could have strong administration. Okay, military to support the administration and to support the military. Okay, and the economy, you will see that the development of the tax structure started after the Greece invasion. Okay, so that is why the bigger kingdom will take into place, and this is how the Mahajanpadas got evolved. The need for becoming the bigger was very necessary, and as I have told you, Matsya Nyay. What was Matsya Nyay? Matsya Nyay was the same thing. If you don't eat the little fish, you will get, or you will die immediately. Okay, so to sustain, you will have to gulp the small and tiny kingdoms, and then you can become more larger and directly fight against the enemy. So this was the Matsya Nyay, which showed the pillar stone behind the formation of the Mahajanapadas. Okay, during this period, we will also see that many of the economical activities would be carried out. Like what I have said, the economy would be getting explored. Okay, so we'll find that many of the carpenters were being hired in the kingdoms to develop more amount of ships, to develop more amount of transports, to develop more amount of chariots. Okay, so that during the D-Day or during the fighting, whenever we are going to have the war with the external factors or the external invaders, we won't feel any loss over there. Okay, so here we'll find that the many of the carpenters were hired in these kingdoms to develop the transporting vehicles or the carrying ships or the vehicles. Okay, after that we find this evidences by the Aryan. Okay, the admiral searches which were being developed by the Megasthenes. Now Megasthenes is the foreign traveler. Okay, so Megasthenes was also one of the great warrior also. Okay, but yes, in his writings it has been found that India started to have a structured administration. India started to have a good amount of administration, which has a military, economical department, as well as the political uh, structure also. Fine. Now, what were the effects of the Greek invasion? Now, if you have seen the idol of the Buddha, okay, like the curly hairs, have you seen it? Okay, the big bulgy eyes, okay, so closed, big bulgy eyes. Okay, so what were this? These were the impacts from those Roman empires, those Greece people. Okay, and we find that our idols, okay, included all this curly hairs, big bulgy eyes. Okay, so all this were the effect, cultural effects on the Indian culture. Okay, so the Kandhara school of painting, okay, had the impact on the Greek and Indian style. Okay, it was not just the Indian style, but it got mixed with the Greek art and culture. Okay, again, then we also got the attractive gold and silver coin making arts in our industries. Okay, after that the Greek villages were being also established, like during the Chandragupta and Ashoka. Okay, during the contemporary period of Chandragupta and Ashoka, we had also the separate villages for the Greek people. Okay, like Alexandria was a Greek village in the Sindh region, that is the same region of the Indus Valley. Okay, so here Alexandria had the different kind of polity, it had different kind of administration, okay, which reflected their process of polity. Okay, and here we came to know how we need to manage, how we need to administer our society. Okay, so these were the Greek peoples who help us to learn. Okay.